Serious, when's the last time you laid down on grass and contemplated life? 2 years ago, I didn't lay in the grass, but I decided to strip naked and lay down in a 3 feet deep snowdrift on my deck. It was cold, but surprisingly stress-relieving. I also learned from the imprint I left behind that I have a very well-formed ass. You know what? I've never done that, but that sounds like a lovely time. Today's a great day to do it where I'm located. Too long ago, it was maybe freshman year of high school, so about 2013, and I had just gotten back from school and I decided I would go jump on my trampoline. I didn't have homework anyway, I was just kinda bouncing, and then I decided to just lay down in the grass. Sun was nice and warm, there was a breeze, I could hear wildlife chirping and bees buzzing around. I actually dozed off for a minute. I woke up and I thought I am happy. Right now I'm happy. I knew it would be a long time before I felt happy again like that, so I savored it. My best friend had killed herself about 3 months prior, so I was constantly depressed. But I felt happy in that moment and I knew I needed to remember that moment. I never forgot it. I thought about all the happy things in the world. My dogs, what I was gonna do when I was older, all sorts of things. It was about 8 o'clock before I went inside. I had a seizure and fell out in the yard a few years ago. I remember coming to and just looking at the clouds, like this is great. Wait, why am I on the ground? And then hearing my wife yelling at me to not die. But that moment of laying in the grass and looking up at the sky was the most peaceful I've felt in a long time. Took mushrooms, went on a long bike ride on a hot day, lay down and listened to some Pink Floyd in Sweet Hollow Park in St. Paul, MN. Great day. I try and do this most mornings as the sun comes up. Nothing beats listening to an NC morning come alive, the sounds of the Cape Fear as it meanders and finds its way to the ocean, the call of wild tom turkeys looking for their flock, the hum of pollinators starting out their day's work, all of it set to glorious streaks of pinks, oranges, and yellows in the eastern sky. I contemplate life every single day. Last time I laid on the grass, though, was probably about 8 years ago when my puppy knocked me and the chair I was sitting in over backwards and all the air was knocked out of my lungs when I hit the ground. About 16 months ago, and I realized I hated my job and colleagues, had to grab the bull by the horns, put in my notice. Now being at a new job for just over a year with much better prospects and flexible hours, and really managed to invest some hobby time. Sometimes you just need the headspace to figure stuff out. When I was told I was going to move cities again, I sat down on the grass in my family home next to the promenade fountain we share with our neighbors and thought about how I used to play mermaid with my grandma there. We move a lot, so whenever we moved back to my birth city, we lived in our family home. I'm going to college abroad next year, so no idea when I'll be back. I was just at the park and I laid in the grass trying to do that, but mostly thought about how exhausting it is bringing my puppy to the park, and then I was yanked upwards by said puppy who saw a squirrel or small child she wanted to eat, play with. As a matter of fact, it was earlier this afternoon. It's the first really warm, non-windy day we've had so far this spring. I was under a tree, gazing at its branches displaying that red haze of buds containing newness of life and leaves yet to be unfurled. The last time I can remember laying down on the grass and contemplating life was 7th or 8th grade, and I wasn't contemplating life so much as contemplating ending my life. I remember someone asking if I was okay, and all I could say was, I want to die. It's been a while. Couple of years ago, I went out to a field with my wife and laid on the grass looking up at the stars. We were pretty far out from town, so you could see the stars a lot better because of less light pollution. I remember we talked about a lot of stuff, mainly about where our life was going and the terrible situation we were both in. Basically, our last housing situation left us homeless and staying with her cousin who was trying to separate both of us for some reason. I'm glad we had that discussion, because I think it made us both realize how badly we needed to get out of there. It's so weird how okay we were with things until we actually said them out loud. Now I do most of my life thinking on my balcony, as apparently grass likes to give me terrible hives. At some point last spring, on one of the first warm days of the year, my husband and kids were running around outside and getting our garden ready. I just laid back and looked up at the sky and felt truly alive. Every time I go hiking in the mountains, pick a spot with a beautiful view and lay down in an open section and chill out and think about life and the future. It is also a great way to get a fresh mind and to enable yourself to look at things through a different perspective, which is critical in the world we live in today. It happened last summer when me and some of my co-workers from the restaurant I used to work at went stargazing. We took off at 2 a.m. and went to the top of a mountain in a shitty car. It was a hell of a ride. The sky was so clear that we could see the stars falling and leaving fat trails behind. We just laid in the grass and stayed silent until some of us fell asleep. I stayed awake the entire time contemplating and being just in awe. Almost a year ago, my wife had already moved from the Seattle area to California for her new job, and I had made a couple trips of stuff down. Now I was into serious packing of the house we'd been in for over 20 years. Saturday afternoon, sunny and warm day, figured done with packing for the day, laid back on the grass and pondered what had been and what was ahead. Almost a year ago, my wife had already moved from the Seattle area to California for her new job, and I had made a couple trips of stuff down. Now I was into serious packing of the house we'd been in for over 20 years. Saturday afternoon, sunny and warm day, figured done with packing for the day, laid back on the grass and pondered what had been and what was ahead. I was at my friend's house and his dog was having so much fun and knocked me over. This was over 20 years ago, but I remember the grass and looking up at the clouds and thinking I would always remember this. To be honest, never. I absolutely hate the feeling laying in grass gives me, and the noise of the insects and birds is irritating. I contemplate life in my bed at night. Frequently, it helps establish what I want to do with my life, and is something I only regret when I can't sleep due to spending all my time thinking about my life. One time I got voluntold to go outside the wire with one of our sniper teams as extra security, basically laid in a prone position on a grassy hill near the Euphrates for about 22 hours, while the hags did their thing. It's funny how blank your mind can get, completely aware and lucid of your surroundings, yet to the outside observer I could be asleep. That was back in 2007. 2 days ago while taking a shower, just thought about where I was years ago, where I am now, where I want to be in a few years, grateful for my family and health, and being able to afford food in my used car and a few toys for my son. Very contemplative and peaceful until my toddler slammed his hands on the glass shower wall. In 1999, a few days before I tried to hang myself, I survived because a tree branch broke, which I interpreted a small sign that I should soldier on and rather not lie down on the grass and contemplate life ever again. 27th of April 2020, King's Day in the Netherlands, and the weather was super nice. Took a walk with a friend and we lied in the grass watching the clouds and stuff in silence for 30 minutes or something. Was very nice. Hope the weather permits to repeat it this year. Just after my grandpa died, He was my father figure growing up, so it was processing in my head that I have no dad anymore and I don't want another dad. It was tons of tears, desperate feelings of wanting them back, and the start of a very long depressing time of my life. Last week I got out of work and I had a fresh bag of weed and decided to go to the park. I went to this hidden side of the park where only stoners really go. It's around this baseball area that has kinda been abandoned. Anyway, as I lay on the grass and spark the grass, my mind goes in this like ride, almost as if I'm in that ride at Epcot where they show you the history of mankind, except I'm seeing the history of my life. It's a relaxing ride where I get to observe the moments that happen to me, good or bad, in this animatronic-like fashion. I get up feeling refreshed and head to the bus stop so I can head to mi casa. Got on the bus, sat down, and this homeless dude that was on the back on the bus approaches me. He tells me, "Son, you got some dog shit on the back of your shirt." I contemplate laying on the grass with my dogs all the time, but I am allergic to the four most common types of grass, so it just isn't worth the after effects. But then would love to just lay outside and chill with the boys sometimes. Instead we lay on the floor inside or on the couch to chill together. 4 years and 27 days ago, it's a day I'll remember forever, because that's the day my old company got acquired. It's a start-up and I was one of the first few employees. Got a decent payout from the acquisition, nothing too crazy. I'm still a normal guy that works full-time, albeit at a much less demanding company and function, but it was enough to pay off my mortgage and car loan with leftover for savings. I still remember that day, when I signed all the papers to officially pay off my mortgage, that feeling of relief and newfound freedom. Officially, no one owns me from there on. The feeling was so strong that I had to lie down on a grass patch outside the bank, and stare at the sky for a good 20 minutes before able to calm down and drive home. I was waiting for my friend to swing by one nice, sunny day, so I went outside my apartment on the grass divider between the road and sidewalk and laid there just enjoying the warmth and whatnot. Some random guy driving by stopped and asked if I was okay. I did after work with my 4-year-old daughter today. We went on a bike ride to the frog pond down the road from our house and sat on the grass near the pond. She asked me a bunch of questions like, do spiders get cold? And how do elephants swim if they're so big? I guess that's her version of contemplating life. February 15, 2020. It was right before I dropped out of high school sophomore year. I was at the front of the school laying down waiting for my mom to pick me up, because I decided to not get on the bus. Almost 5 years ago, I was on drugs and I was crying so heavily cause I was just disappointed in myself and what I had become. I hated mirrors cause I couldn't look myself in the face sometimes. Fast forward to now, I have been sober for almost 5 years, work in the career I wanted, and with the woman of my dreams, and we are planning on building a future together. I'm in a much better place now, and I feel generally happy. Just cause you're down for the count doesn't mean you're out. Anyone who is going through drug use, just know you are loved and that you can kick the habit cause I believe in you just like friends had believed in me. Today was the most recent time I went on a hike, reached the top, and thought about my life and where it's going, the people in it, the people not in it, the success and failures thus far, the future, my desires. Now I can't stop thinking. What do I want out of this chance at life? Lay in an open field, watching stars. I think it was few months ago. I like to lay down on a grass, or a hill, any safe open field. It gives me liberating, therapeutic feeling I never thought I needed. When I was little I used to do it with my grandpa before his passing. Now I do it alone. Sometimes I ask my sister along with me but she'll just sleep. There's a scene in Before Sunrise where the couple lay down on grass from dusk till dawn. I envy them. If you haven't tried it, then you probably should. Last night, it's honestly quite relaxing, and a lot of the times I end up putting away my deep thoughts eventually and not thinking of anything, just listening to the birds and the breeze and enjoying the sunshine on my skin. It was right after I bombed my track tryout edit 2 days ago. Every time in the movies you see the main character summon strength from within, maybe for a loved one or maybe just to prove that you can overcome any obstacle. But I realized on the grass that I didn't have anyone to run towards, and even though I tell myself I can do it every time, I know I'm just setting myself up for failure every time. It's very demoralizing. I don't lay in the grass to do so. I break out in hives and also have 3 dogs that shit in my yard, so I don't trust picking it up even matters in that regard. I sit out with the chickens most mornings and watch them, talk to them about the world, and spend my mornings outside enjoying the sun. It's been over 10 years. I was in a new relationship with a law student in a hick town, Ada, Ohio. We went to a cemetery in Lima off the highway, lay down on the grass on a slight hill and looked into the sky, talking the talk of new lovers. I was many firsts for her already, so the googly eyes of pressed foreheads and such. We took a nap and I remember waking up and pondering life, how I got here, and how sweet things were at the moment. Not on the grass, sorry, but lying in bed last night. It was significant because I rarely step back and look at what I'm doing with my life. I'm a student, so every day is a struggle to stay on top of things and learn without getting overwhelmed. Everything is so immediate. What assignments are due tomorrow? What do I need to accomplish today? That there are few chances to reflect. As I laid in bed, I reflected on the big changes that have occurred in my family this year. I thought I had recovered from their shock, but really the blur of day-to-day life had pushed my feelings under the surface. I wanted to cry so badly, but I couldn't force any tears. I just felt empty. It occurred to me that no one will ever know those thoughts, well, not counting the people reading this, and that they'll disappear along with my physical form when I die. I'm an atheist, so I believe and hope that any trace of my conscious being will vanish after I take my last breath. It just seems so lonely to exist forever. I thought about the things I'll miss, and the things I won't miss. If you took the time to read this entire comment, thank you. The last time was about 6 years ago in college. One of my classes was cancelled that day, so I decided to lay down in the grass since it was nice weather. About 5 minutes into it, I went ouch and realized some big ants were crawling on me and bit me. They left some huge welts on my stomach, and it was the last time I laid in grass. I get these moments when I have to lie down on the grass because everything feels sort of too much, and I look up and see the blue, or the gray, or the black, and I feel myself melting into it, and, for like a split second, I feel free and happy, innocent. I thought this belonged here. Just today, I had done this, albeit I was sitting instead of lying down. I like to take very long sessions outside and look wherever the sun is and listen to the birds and squirrels dropping their nutshell to the ground. I then clear all thoughts from my head and imagine my view is higher up in the tree above where I sit at. Higher still, I see everything I want to, filling in the gaps with sounds and sights. I do this for the better part of 30 minutes. Once I am content, I think about my problems I had dealt with and how I could have dealt with them better, and simply thinking. Sometimes I imagine I walked for miles through a forest or ocean's shore of my invention, or looking at a grand city filled with amazing views. I could go on and on about what I do while sitting in the same spot for hours, but I think you've seen enough to get the idea. Hopefully, this is a good answer, and I didn't miss the idea around it. Every weekend, my toddler loves playing outside on his slide. I used to watch, play on my phone sitting on the patio furniture. But a couple of weeks ago I decided that watching him play and just be happy was something I could never get enough of. So now he plays and I lie in the grass, listen to him laugh and think about life and nothing at all.